Hey, good morning and welcome to Brunch with Brian. It's a holiday week and a lot of people aren't even working today. You might actually be off today because it's the 3rd of July, which falls on a Monday, and Tuesday is the 4th of July. So I know a lot of people are doing a 4-day weekend. So maybe that's you. So maybe you're joining us and that's awesome. So you're going to see family and you're going to see people that maybe you don't normally see on this holiday season on the 4th of July. And so, what's the right mental approach? Because, you don't always get along with everybody, and that's the trick. A lot of times, but I will tell you that my bottom line here is keeping an attitude of loving kindness. Kindness is there's a one saying, kindness is greater, loving kindness is greater than laws. Now, loving kindness is so important, and being kind to others. And sometimes you don't always know how you're being perceived, especially in a work setting, and especially if you have to be kind of demanding. That's a really tricky fine line to walk. If somebody's doing a service for you, and maybe they're not, or an employee, is working for you and they're not meeting expectations, they're not meeting their KPIs, their weekly KPIs. That's the number one thing. If it's an employee or somebody who's working with you as a vendor, they have to be clear on what you want. So you have to tell them the KPIs. What are their key performance indicators that if they hit those every week, then the results should come and they should be successful. So you know that I always tell you I want you to talk to 10 sellers a week. So for your real estate investing, that would be a KPI. So what if you have somebody that's working with you or a VA who's supposed to be making calls for you or whatever? And again, you've set out very clear expectations of what's expected, and then they're not meeting the expectations. Well, and this is where, as much as you can be kind to people, and this is the tricky thing because you want to be kind in this world and generally kind, and for sure at least always try to be kind with your family, and that's the number one thing. Work situations, sometimes you might have to crack down, you might have to not be the nice guy, and that's just a sad, that's just the way business is. Sometimes people don't deliver and you have to, move on, or you have to make a move. You have to say, sorry, this isn't working out. But before that happens, I want you to approach people with a lot of kindness, be a kind person in your business dealings, but just make sure you have strict KPIs, and then people are aware that if these KPIs aren't being met, then this isn't a sustainable situation. Now, can you be really nice and kind about that? Yeah, and I want you to be, and especially if you have family, and especially if you work with family, because a lot of us work with family. This is a tricky thing. So when you work with family, work is stressful sometimes, and things don't always go perfectly at work. And sometimes, you lose a deal or there's mistakes made or something happens. And that's where you're tested. That's where can you maintain, an approach of loving kindness, but, also, be firm about what has to be done. Okay. But here's the whole key is that if any time in your work life you allow anger to come into the picture, that changes everything. So as much as possible, like if you're, I don't know, reprimanding, you should never be in that mood where you're reprimanding. What you're doing is you're calling people's attention to their own failure to meet KPIs that they had previously agreed to. Okay, and so that way it doesn't have to be a mad thing. It doesn't have to, you said you were going to do this, you're not doing it, and you don't have to get that. Now that's where the family part plays in, because generally when you're dealing with just a regular arm's length employee, you never knew them before a year ago or a month ago, you're going to generally have a sort of certainly I hope, a business relationship, and not have a lot of anger permeating or inappropriate emotions. But with family, that's kind of what family is about sometimes. And sometimes the people who are the better ones to work with you, especially in this field with sales, and they have some charm, and people who are charming and people who have a sense of urgency, sometimes they're prickly, sometimes they're not always easy to work with. So that's where the kindness comes in. Just as much kindness as you can shower upon people, the better. And it will always come, it will not always come back. In fact, there's been times when we've showered kindness on people and it did not come back. But then you are in a better position, obviously, to be demanding. If you've already been really a nice person and set clear expectations, then you're in a better position to be demanding because they don't think of you as already some kind of a half a jerk. You know, they kind of think they kind of like you. So building rapport with people obviously is very important up front. And kindness. Now, what does kindness mean anyway? Okay, well, it's being thoughtful. Thoughtful is a big thing, you know, and a thoughtful email is so easy. I'll tell you, just, you know, you could be one of the people could consider you to be one of the kindest, nicest people they know if if you just do a little email campaign after you talk to people on the phone. You know, talk to people on the phone and always follow up with a nice email and say, wow, it was so nice talking with you. I loved hearing about your daughter's wedding. And, you know, and then do address the business. Okay, so, and then the nice thing about that is if you have an email chain where you've referenced personal issues with that person in the past, you can always go back and remember, oh, what was our last conversation? Oh yeah, I remember she was talking about that. And then you bring that up. Now, if you really want to go to that extra yard, you can keep files on people, not files, but just like one sheet. Just keep a Word file, that's that student profile or that vendor profile. You know, and you could just, it doesn't have to be some elaborate thing. It can just be a blank sheet of paper with their name, address, phone number, email address, website, and some notes. And, you know, just, it's so easy to keep stuff like that on your computer under like a contacts folder. And, or, you know, obviously if you guys are using a CRM or working off Excel spreadsheets, sometimes Excel spreadsheets doesn't have a lot of room to write a lot of extra stuff. You don't want a lot of extra stuff in there. But if you're using a CRM to manage your customers, then you're going to have space in there where you can write stuff about everybody. So everybody on your list that you talk to, it's really worth it to make notes about them. And that really shows kindness and thoughtfulness that you care enough to actually remember personal stuff about people. I am half good at this, but I know I could do better, and everybody could do really well at this if they put a mind to it. So the way to show your kindness, being kind to people, especially this week, especially if you have to see people tomorrow and this week that you don't normally get along with so well, just keep that thought of being kind up front. And one way, obviously, in business is kind follow-up emails, which I just discussed. In person, I want you to work on compliments. Okay, think of even before you see these people tomorrow, like if you're going to see a bunch of people tomorrow that you don't normally see, write your scripts. Write yourself some scripts in advance, some scripts of kindness, some scripts of some compliments that you can tell people. And, you know, maybe some big compliments. I love what I call big compliments that are like compliments that have been stored up for years. And they're usually delivered during some kind of a dramatic time, like a 4th of July party. So you think of some really big compliments like, I've always thought the way you did this was so wonderful, and you've always cared about people, and you've always, you know, whatever they've done. Or your dad, if your father's still around and he did a good job taking care of you and he wasn't mean to you and he paid the bills, then you should say that was really a great thing you did. You know, because if you have a dad who pays the bills and is not mean to you and is generally interested in you and gives you a compliment once in a while, that's a lot. That, you know, that you can go a lot further than that, but a lot of people don't have anything close to that. So your dad, your mom, who else? Your brothers and sisters. Think of some nice, really nice compliment, a kind compliment you could say to them. So, so I always like to talk about business and also the personal. So personal and business, think about things you can talk to people and build your relationships, build your bridges tomorrow, this week, and also in business. So good morning, folks. Hey, Tony and Angela, good to see you. And you got your files. Hey, great. Look at that. I talked about it last week and you did it. So this week, everybody tell me about how you use kindness. You can report to me on Friday how you use kindness this week to really build some good connections and bridges and relationships this week, business-wise and personally. So remember, compliments and sincere interest. Ask people what, how their life's, not just some generic, how's work, but I mean, if you remember anything about their work, so how was that situation, you were telling me about before? Some kind of more of a specific question, but showing sincere interest and compliments is great. That's one of the best ways. And you know what? If you're constantly looking for ways to compliment people, it takes that spotlight off yourself. So if you're self-conscious in groups, that can be helpful. That can be a helpful little technique, complimenting. All right, so great to see everybody today. I know people are on vacation here, so I'm not going to keep you. I already kept you too long. I try to keep it under 10 minutes, and it's so hard. All right, so let's see. I'm thinking of an affirmation, guys. Always think of affirmations. So how can we think? Robert's wishing us a nice holiday. Our affirmation for today is going to be, I show loving kindness. I show loving kindness. 3 times on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I show loving kindness. I show loving kindness. I show loving kindness. Oh, that's great. So that, boy, I don't know about that one, really made me feel good. So that's a really nice affirmation. Let's start deep breathing. Nice deep breath in. And a nice smile. Another deep breath in. And hold it a little bit. And when you exhale, relax your arms and your shoulders. Okay, one more. And extra deep. And that's great. Really fills up your lungs with energy and positivity. All right, so guys, until I have a wonderful 4th, I believe I will be popping in tomorrow. So if you want to pop in and say hi, that'd be great. 4th of July was my dad's birthday, actually. My dad's gone now, but it was his birthday. So I'll probably talk about something interesting tomorrow. And so I will see you tomorrow. Until then, keep expecting success, getting awesome training and motivation and support, emotional support. Yes, I think of Brunch with Brian as giving you emotional support and always taking action.